In order to chase the 99s, we need to understand the parsing rules first. So the damage done to the ice tombs is removed. These are both tombs in air phase and in the last phase, so you don't need to bother DPSing them down quickly and risking a wipe. Warcraft logs also stated that they will be likely end up removing Sindragosa from all star points at some point, similar to what happened with Hodir and Ulduar, I would imagine, due to a large RNG factor. I feel like this could have been my shortest guide if I just said don't get Unchained magic and end it here. However, let's talk about optimizing our play on this encounter anyway. So, Sindragosa is definitely doing few mechanics that can hinder your road to 99. Let's start with simple ones. So Sindragosa is a dragon, and just like any dragon, don't ever stand in front of her or you get Glyphs and your parse is over. Or behind her and you'll get tail smashed. You should also be careful of where you are positioning yourself when you are the target of an ice tomb in last phase, or when to move out from raid to explode and clear Unchained magic stacks. Do not go in front of her because of Frost Breath, as it's a 90-degree frontal cone dealing 60k damage on heroic, so you will definitely get one shot. Another thing to watch out for is Icy Grip and Blistering Cold combo, where she first grips everyone into melee and then starts channeling Blistering Cold, which will hit everyone within 25 yards for 60k damage. So don't be slow, run out, throw instant cast on the move. Regarding the Ice Tomb, if you are the target in air phase or last phase, don't be a baddie and don't screw it up. Use your guild's positioning and use bark skin before you'll get hit. Not much to say here. Now Mystic Buffet. Alright, this one is important as it will kill you if you stack it high and won't reset it. Again, don't be a baddie and reset your stacks in the last phase behind the tombs. However, there's some optimization on how to do it properly to minimize the DPS loss. First of all, I would recommend using a weak aura or add-on of some sort that's tracking the cast bar of the next Mystic Buffet application. You don't need to hide for ages behind the block and wait for the stacks to disappear. Just stand next to the tomb, DPS the boss, as the tomb is not being counted and will most likely be killed by melee or other people hiding behind it, or by passive click like Starfall anyway. If you need to reset the stacks, hide behind the tomb for just a split second, and then you can go pump the boss again. It's literally in and out for a second while throwing an instant cast. I'm using this weak aura for the Mystic Buffet stacks, and all I need to do is hide as the cast is about to get to the white line. When it passes the line, you are free to go out again because your stacks will fall off before the next Mystic Buffet application. Most common is to reset at 3rd stack, so hiding at the 4th application, but this also depends on how comfortable your guild is with the stacks. Just keep an eye on the HP of the tomb as well, and keep in mind if you stack it too high and then the tomb gets killed before you could reset, you are most likely screwed, so better play it safe. However, most annoying and probably the worst mechanic ever that was put in the game is Unchained magic. I hate it, you hate it, everyone hates it. So while you have the Unchained magic, you stack instability each time you cast a spell, eventually explode dealing damage around you based on how many stacks you have. So unsatisfying. This just forces you not to play the game and not to do anything. Not cool at all, not fun. This ability is also the biggest external factor for your parse. Even if you play perfectly and you get several Unchained magics throughout the fight, your parse is most likely gone at this point, and good luck next week. I was extremely lucky with only 2 Unchained magics the first week and managed to get my 99 right away. However, even this could not be enough after several weeks, as top parsing Boomies will most likely be the most lucky ones, and there will probably be even ones without any Unchained magic, which would make getting the 99 with just 2 or more Unchained magics suddenly even harder. So parsing here is not necessarily about how good you can execute mechanics, rotation and min-max every single bit of your gameplay, but more about how lucky you are, which is not a good sign for any encounter. In terms of strategy, most common ones are either raid stacking on the side of the entrance or the opposite side, on the balcony. In terms of execution though, nothing changes much and you are doing the same things just on the other side of the boss, so you should be able to achieve the 99 regardless of which one you choose. There are again some advantages and disadvantages. If you are doing entrance, you have more room to work with and it's probably a bit safer. However, in terms of min-maxing DPS, the balcony have a slight edge just because you can keep a slightly higher uptime on boss while she's doing the air transition. There are also some cheese strats emerging, like the one where you can avoid being gripped, but most importantly, the one that have the biggest impact, you can apparently make sure you are not a target of the Unchained magic by entering the fight without any talent points and put them mid-fight. I can imagine though that this will be a hotfix pretty soon. If not though, not getting an Unchained magic is pretty huge. Alright, pre-potting here is a bit tricky if you are doing the balcony strategy and have to run to the other side. There is a little RP going on until she lands and the encounter starts, but you are not in combat during this RP, so you should be able to pre-pot, and it's fairly easy if you are using some sort of timers from either add-on or weak aura. Even the fastest skills are around a 6-minute mark at the moment, so I don't see any chance this crawling below 1 minute mark to skip the pre-pot unless some sort of miracle cheese happens. When it comes to what potion to use for pre-potting, wild magic or speed, I'm not gonna go into details in this video. Make sure to check out the How to Parse 99 on Lord Marrowgar guide, where I feel I explained it pretty well, with reasoning behind it and also my personal preference. I'm linking the video in the description down below. So I'm just gonna do the short general answer here. What potion you're going to pre-pot is not going to make or break your road to 99. Both are viable and the DPS difference between them is minimal. Right, so we are about to pull, and we already know from the Lord Marrowgar How to Parse 99 video that in terms of min-maxing the DPS, we should be precasting a Rev. Unfortunately, due to the slight RP where we have to wait until she lands and is attackable, similar to Lich King or Deathbringer Sorfang, precasting is just not possible on this encounter. If you have a Shadow Priest and a Feral Druid in the raid and want to save a global cooldown on pull, you can skip the Fairy Fire since it's part of Feral's rotation. Just make sure that if you have the 2-piece tier 10 bonus, you are casting Gift of the Wild before pre-potting to start the encounter already with the spell power buff of the clear casting proc. So since we are doing the balcony strategy, what I like to do is start mounted up and run on the other side of her during the RP until she lands, even though I have to shift into Moonkin so I won't start with full mana, but mana should not be an issue in phase 4, so this doesn't matter. I'm using the Foji raiding pack and also Bigwigs, which both have timers for the landing and the start of the encounter, so when I'm already on the balcony side in Moonkin form, I Gift of the Wild and immediately pre-pot right as she is about to land. Now I have two options since we are not using heroism on pull but in the last phase. So I don't need to rush trends to be the first global cooldown so they benefit from heroism. First option is to either start the encounter with the dot first, and this enables me to stack the crit buff of the idol as soon as possible, and most importantly gives me a chance to proc my proc-based trinkets such as Flare of the Heavens, Phylactery or DFO, so my next global cooldowns like Trance and Starfall will already benefit from this massive spell power boost. The other option is to save the global cooldown of the Trance by precasting them or casting them as she is landing, so you can go straight into Dot, Starfall and Eclipse rotation just as she is attackable. I tend to lean towards this option to be honest. Now again, the impact on the overall result is minimal and neglectable. This is again not something that will make or break your road to 99, so just pick whatever feels right for you. What kind of dot you should use depends on your gear and glyph setup. If you are still using phase 3 rotation with glyphs of Moonfire, Starfire and Starfall, and you are most likely in your tier 9 gear or just transitioning into few pieces of tier 10 with still the phase 3 Idol of Lunar Fury, you will most likely benefit the most with Moonfire at max uptime and using Insect Swarm only after Lunar ended for Solar Eclipse, or with the first global cooldown of Solar Eclipse, or with Insect Swarm completely unused. If you are already in your 4-piece tier 10 and with the phase 4 Idol of Lunar Eclipse, you will most likely benefit the most with not using Moonfire and using Insect Swarm at max uptime, however outside of Lunar Eclipse with Glyph of Insect Swarm. Don't forget to also mouse over the boss if you are using Serenade Bomb and Starfall mouse over macro as I am as well. So I'm usually doing Gift of the Wild into Prepot, precast Trance, encounter starts, dot, Starfall and proceeding with Eclipse rotation, wishing for Lunar Eclipse with first few wraths. So after reaching the first lunar eclipse, this is where I want to pop everything at the same time while I'm still under the effect of the Prepot, hyperspeed accelerators and any unused trinkets. I'm using simple macro for this. If you are in luck, hopefully your proc-based trinkets will proc somewhere at this time as well for some heavy starfire blasting, and you are not the target of the Unchained magic. Here are some more random tips. Use bar screen before you are hit by the ice tomb. Use rocket boots for the icy grip. Always be casting, so if icy grip just happened, make sure you are using instant cast on the move while you are repositioning back to range. If you use rocket boots, you have time for 1 or 2 global cooldowns depending on your latency or reaction time. If your boots are on cooldown, you have time for 2 to 3 global cooldowns. Try to prioritize the most effective spam global cooldowns based on the priority list. Trance, Starfall, or refreshing any of your dots when they are not on the target already are best options. Even Typhoon, Gift of the Wild, or innovating your healer are fine if no other option higher on the priority list is available. Just do something on the move. It's a good idea to use some sort of add-on or weak aura like 4G rating pack that shows the range where you are safe not to hit by blistering cold to minimize unnecessary movement. Just stop as soon as you are good to go and start blasting the boss again. Do not use Starfall on the tombs when the air phase is ending, unless it's really needed. Your guild is struggling with this mechanic, and the targets in Ice Tomb might die. Keep in mind, this damage won't be counted towards your parse. If you don't have to, don't DPS the tombs in air phase other than hitting them with melee to not waste a proc on your Flare of the Heavens, Phylactery or DFO in this phase, which is not counted, so they are ready when she lands down. Since you will most likely use a second trance mid-fight because of the encounter duration, make sure you are not casting them before Icy Grip and Blistering Cold combo or they might die. If your lunar eclipse was triggered just as the next wave of Unchained magic is about to happen, you should wait with popping any cooldowns like hyperspeed accelerators, potion or asking for PI in case you are the target of Unchained magic. If you are doing the balcony strategy, make sure you DPS the boss till it goes out of range. You should refresh both of your dots as last 2 global cooldowns before it goes out of range during the air phase. If you are using Glyph Focus, make sure you are in range of the target for starfalling. I'm using Weak Aura both for showing the range on the nameplates, as well as the range warning where I'm not in range for starfalling the target. You can precast Hurricane if you are using Nibelung to spawn a Valkyrie or even more Valkyries if you are lucky, prior to pull to give you an edge and nice boost when the encounter starts. So when I mention Nibelung, in case you are using this staff, you might be asking yourself, is this good encounter to use it on? The answer is sadly, not really, no. It's one of the weakest fights together with Lord Marrowgar, Council or Blood Queen Lenathel. The Valkyrie can die easily from Blistering Cold or Unchained Magic Explosion, or even DPS something that is not being counted like the Tomb, and even might cause a wipe when it kills the Tomb. The only good thing is that it follows the boss during the air phase, so you are not losing the uptime that much. And what about Boomie overall? How is Balance Druid doing on Sindragosa? Well, really sad to say, but overall Boomies are not doing well on this encounter. If you look at the phase 4 DPS rankings on the average druids of 50th percentile, even the meme classics like Arms Warrior and PvP rogues are above us. And this is how it looks for the pumpers of 95th percentile, and still pretty terrible to be honest. Sad to see Boomie being so low. This encounter is not doing us a favor with a lot of movement of the icy grips and especially the last phase ping-ponging between the tombs left and right, as movement really hurt Boomies, certainly more than most classes. Also, Unchained magic really hurt us because of our eclipses. You are either caught in Lunar, where you want to pump and combine it with other cooldowns so our best DPS windows are cut by this mechanic, or you are caught in Solar Eclipse, where you stack the instability so fast while trying to DPS with Unchained. But of course, if you are a pumper chasing 99s and are lucky with Unchained magic, you can out-DPS other classes played by not so mad skilled min-maxers. Just be prepared that this is one of our weakest fights in ICC, and even if you pump your 99, you'll most likely be out-DPS by a hunter with green parse. Regarding the talents, I wasn't making a special Sindragosa spec, but used my default single target build that I'm pretty much using since phase 2, The only difference is shifting 1 point into Omen of Clarity because of the 2-piece tier 10 bonus. Other than that, no mana talents are needed here, and since there is no AoE happening on this fight, Gale Winds are useless as well. Typhoon can be used as movement option, but again I feel like that's a waste of a talent point. So in terms of raw DPS gain, best is to distribute the points in either Brambles or Oaken Frenzy. Oaken Frenzy can proc here, but based on the Oaken Frenzy Fear recrafting thread on Druid Discord, Sindragosa is one of the weaker encounters to proc Oaken, usually seeing between 0 to 3 procs, and considering the encounter duration, you will rarely see a double-digit uptime percentage. It certainly can't match fights like Marrowgar, Death Whisper or Lich King. Looking at the top 10 Boomie parses, they as well have Oaken procs ranging from 0 to maximum of 3. There were only 2 druids in top 10 with 3 procs, which was at 8% uptime of the buff. Usually there was only 1 or 2 procs, making it from 2% to around 5% uptime. Another possibility while using the phase 4 rotation with the new phase 4 Idol of Lunar Eclipse and 4-piece tier 10 bonus while using Glyph of Insect Swarm is to ditch the Moonfire from your rotation, and in this case someone might argue that improved Moonfire talent is useless and the points might be spent elsewhere. The only real possibility, however, in terms of DPS gain is to have more points in Genesis, which is pretty weak, and since you will most likely use the Moonfire on movement, it might be better to just leave it in Improved Moonfire. As another popular chicken you guys might know said on this case, quote, "There's tons of movement and having 10% more chance to crit keeping Nature's Grace rolling is huge, and the extra damage is nice as well." So there you have it, just leave it as it is. In terms of glyphs, my kills were still done in all phase 3 rotation since I didn't have 4-piece tier 10 and the new idol, so I was still using glyphs of Starfall, Starfire and Moonfire. However, next reset I will most likely switch already to Glyph of Insect Swarm instead of Glyph of Moonfire, and will also try to experiment with Glyph of Focus instead of Starfire to see how the range feels. Keep in mind though that Glyph of Starfall, Insect Swarm and Focus are best in slot for phase 4 and simming the most. However, if you can't guarantee every single star hitting its target with Glyph of Focus because of the range nerf, then it's most likely a DPS loss over an alternative. If you really struggle with this, Glyph of Starfire or perhaps Glyph of Moonfire are better options instead of Focus. Sindragosa should be doable with Focus though. And that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching, and if you like the content, I would appreciate if you like the video and subscribe. Thank you and good luck.